When we walk in muddy roads, in many ways it gives us a great workout. Our legs, core and arms are all having to work seriously hard to keep us from slipping and sliding around. This means we need to burn plenty of calories and toning our body at the same time. A wonder, on such roads and conditions, is skipping the dirt rather than getting it. Taking Ethiopia up out of a deep divisive state where it has been over the last 30 years is just like walking on muddy and dirty roads. Sometimes you walk exceptionally well and in others you might slide and fall over. But getting up, taking a lesson and applying the techniques to grip the ground well and resuming the journey is key step to move forward. The same level of unity and coordination among Ethiopians and its government must always be maintained to stay on the winning position in the fight against the proxy war. Welcome to Ethiopia Today. Our presentation for today covers the following topics. Ethiopia to host Pan-Africanism Youth Summit. Scholars say that Ethiopia is leading way to emancipate Africans from neo-colonial mindset. Sudan Security Forces clash with anti-government protesters. The details are as follow. Ethiopia to host Pan-Africanism Youth Summit. African Youth Development and Center of Excellence indicated that Ethiopia will host a continental Pan-African Youth Summit on January 2022, learned from Ethiopian press agency EPA. The center noted that the Pan-Africanist youth and civil society from all 54 African countries will participate in the forum to be held in Addis Ababa on January 27, 2022. Founder and Director General of the center, Fuad Gena, said the conference will be hosted by the African Youth Development and Excellence Center and it will be attended by senior government officials, ministers, ambassadors, celebrities, academics, community activists and youth organizations. As the previous Africans struggled to come out of the yoke of colonial rule, the conference will also serve as a platform for the current generation to stand up for Africa against modern colonialism. The conference is expected to inspire all African for well, capitalizing on the leading motto, African solutions to African problems. As to Fuad, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Peace, the Ministry of Women and Social Affairs and other partners are collaboratively working for the successfulness of the conference. The contribution of the Ethiopian patriots' struggle for real Pan-Africanism and African independence will be presented at the forum. Scholars say that Ethiopia is leading way to emancipate Africans from neo-colonial mindset. Scholars from Kenya and Somalia said that Ethiopia has been currently leading the way in freeing the African people from the neo-colonial mindset as the country is fighting a proxy war waged by Western powers. Former Deputy Speaker of the Kenyan Parliament and politician, Farah Maalim, and Somali researcher and political analyst, Abdulwahab Abdisamid, are in Addis to demonstrate their solidarity to Ethiopia in its struggle against the meddling of foreign powers. Speaking to ENA, former Deputy Speaker of the Kenyan Parliament, Farah Maalim said that the Ethiopian government and people have been fighting against proxy war which is being intensified by the developed world, saying that it is exemplary to Africans. He also urged Africans from all corners to join Ethiopia's neo-colonial struggle to say no more, otherwise, the whole continent would be facing a second wave of colonialism. We don't want African issues to be tackled and to be determined in other capitals like the Western capitals or the American capital. So we are saying no more interference in the internal affairs of the African continent. In this regard, Ethiopia has led the way in freeing the African people from the colonial mindset of not trusting in their own decision, Maalim noted. The speaker also lauded the people and government of Ethiopia under the leadership of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed for being vigilant and rallying together in the toughest ongoing hybrid war, launched on Ethiopia by the US and some of its Western allies. We want to commend your people and your government, more specifically, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who at this time did what is frankly in the eyes of the so-called developed world by taking a personal risk. He has been seen what has done to those people who tried to set the independence of their own countries, communities and regions. He added that Prime Minister has taken the bull by the horns and decided that we cannot listen from outside to determine our own issues as a continent. I think the African continent is going to come in solidarity with Ethiopia. Despite the fact that Africa has both sufficient and untapped natural resources, the Deputy Speaker underscored the continent has still remained under the exploitation for the Western countries and Africa is not in control of its own resources. However, Malim strongly argues it is time for Africa to take charge of its own affairs. Appreciating Ethiopia's decision, which is working hard to thwart the threat whatever the risks, the speaker prophesied this struggle is going to be fired at one end, to any other end of the African continent. All conflicts are created outside and transported into our continent, so we have come to demonstrate our solidarity with this new light to Africa. Thanks God, for the people and government of Ethiopia have decided they are going to do it whatever the risks. I am sure the continent is going to come and the struggle is going to engulf one end to the other end of Africa. All of them are going to come out and say no more. He finally hoped that Ethiopia would overcome all the difficulties that come from internal and external forces, as well as the country would integrate not only the people of Ethiopia, but also the people of the Horn of Africa. Now the conflict in the northern part of the country and Tigray has been contained. We expect Ethiopians to begin rebuilding their own country. The country will integrate not only the people of Ethiopia but the people of the Horn of Africa also by creating an economic bloc that will essentially become the biggest IGAD region trade bloc in the world. On his part, Somali researcher and political analyst, Abdulwahab Abdisamid said the Western imperialists have now been seeking fragile Ethiopia and having a small puppet government. Acknowledging that Africa is today under the attack from Somalia to Senegal, however, he underlined that Ethiopia's firm position on external pressure will serve as a wake-up call to the people of Africa to say no more neo-colonization of Africa. Africa is awake and we are not at the time of the 1960s or 70s. If you look at the Horn of Africa today, people from Ethiopia, Somalia, Eritrea and other countries have read the same script and they come together against Western conspiracy. I think this has happened because of Ethiopia and it is something to be proud of the country. The researcher further stated that Ethiopia is fighting a proxy war that has been inflicted by the United States of America and some European countries against the very existence of the country. However, he is hopeful that Ethiopia will once again prove its symbol of liberation, overcoming from the pressure of Western powers, and Africans will always remember it. Sudan Security Forces clash with anti-government protesters. Sudanese security forces fired tear gas and stun grenades Sunday at thousands of protesters marching against the country's military rulers, with medics reporting that one demonstrator was killed, according to the Voice of America. The protesters marched from Omdurman to Bari, two cities adjoining the capital Khartoum, chanting slogans assailing military leader Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, who took power in an October 25 coup that upended a transitional power-sharing deal with civilians. One man was killed after being hit in the neck by a tear gas canister, according to a Sudanese Doctors Association aligned with the protest movement. That raised the number of civilians killed by security forces to 62 since the coup, according to the doctors, who have also accused the military of repeatedly raiding medical facilities, treating injured protesters and attacking staff. The military has justified the coup as a correction needed to stabilize the transition to elections from a power-sharing arrangement the military and civilians struck following the toppling of former President Omar al-Bashir in 2019. It has said that peaceful protests are permitted and that those responsible for causing casualties will be held accountable. The United Nations said on Saturday it would attempt to resolve the crisis, inviting military leaders, political parties and other groups to take part in talks. On January 2, Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok resigned, citing a failure to reach a compromise between the generals and the country's pro-democracy movement. He was ousted in the coup but reinstated a month later following a deal with the military that was meant to calm tensions and anti-coup demonstrations. This brings the end of our presentation. Thanks for staying with us. If you enjoyed our presentation, give us a like and share to your social contacts. And also don't forget to subscribe and tap on notification bell if this is your first time. By doing so, you are supporting Ethiopia Today channel to continue producing this and similar news. Many thanks. May God bless Ethiopia and its people.